Okay, just so today because a process is running in my system, that's why it becomes slow. So once this process is completed, I will share my screen. 1 minute. All right then. Today we are going to see a new tool called ELK. Okay, which is Elasticsearch, Logstash, Kibana. See, the first letter E starts for Elasticsearch. E stands for Elasticsearch, L stands for Logstash, K stands for Kibana. So how many of you know about this tool earlier, or heard about this tool, or worked about this tool, on this tool? How many of you know? I think I see only just a couple of responses. What about others? How many of you know about this? No idea, don't know. Okay. Okay, don't know. Okay, fine. All right. So I'll tell you one simple. Yeah, yesterday I completed Dockers. See, that's why don't miss my classes, because hardly we have only weekly, 3 days only. I request everyone to attend the classes Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Remember these timings. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. These are the 3 days classes. Yesterday I completed Dockers. All right. Now you see. In our DevSecOps tools, we have studied about logging, right? SLF4J, Log4J2. We have studied this in the initial tools course. SLF4J, Log4J2. Remember, in our DevSecOps course, we studied about SLF4J, Log4J2 library. What is this use of this? Anyone can tell? We studied already this. What is the use of this SLF4J log4j2 library tool we studied? So what is the use of this? Logging, right? For logging, we have studied this, right? Correct. You're absolutely correct. So for logging, we have studied this. And what is the use of logging? The use of logging is to track the flow of program. Okay, information, errors, everything, right? Everything will track. Now, say I have an application, or let us say I'll take a service 1. Okay, I developed this service. Say, assume that I developed the service in Spring Boot. Similarly, okay, let me go to next. So now, say, let us assume this, we call it as a microservice. A microservice. What is a microservice? It is again a small application. Okay, for a purpose of a business function. So let us assume, let us take, I have an e-commerce based application. E-commerce based application. And what are the various functionalities in this e-commerce based application? Creating, or we can say order management, orders, users. These are different functionalities, right? User management. Next is products, like viewing the different products, catalogs. Next, payments, shipments. Okay, these are the different functionalities in this e-commerce application. Assume that you developed this e-commerce based application, okay, with front end some JavaScript, HTML, and then your backend will be like Spring Boot or a Spring MVC. What you do in the backend, you develop a Spring MVC application. Okay, including all these functionalities as modules. Orders, users, products, payments, shipments. Okay, orders, users, products, payments, shipments. Okay, all these are all individual. All these are all individual modules. All these are all individual modules in the Spring MVC application. Okay, like you can have different packages. Spring MVC application is Java project only, right? So orders will be in one package. All the orders related class will be in one package. All the users related classes will be in one package. All the products related classes in one package. Like that. Okay, they are in different packages. And in each order, you'll have a controller class, service class, DAO class. So, okay, in each, so each package. So each package, you'll have different controllers, services, okay, DAO classes. All these you'll be writing. And as a whole, this complete application, you can use a Maven build and generate this as a var file or a jar file. Okay, generally var file. Var is an web application archive file. Okay, use Maven project, Maven build to generate var file and copy or deploy this to server. This file to server. And deploy this file to server. So use Maven build to generate var file and deploy this file to server. Now you might have implemented in this complete application a logging library. Logging library like log4j, log4j or logback, some library. And when this application is running in the server, it will generate the logs. So when the application is running in the server, say you deploy this application in a server like Tomcat server or a JBoss server or some application server. And this application, this var file is copied to the server. And while the server is running and while this application is running, it will generate the logs. And the log will be written to a console or a file, right? Generally, we store in a file or a console. I mean, console is it will not be stored. But if you want to store to file, we have seen that rolling back file appender, those examples. So the logs are written to file. And where the logs are stored and where the files are stored, it will be in the server file system. So files will be in server path, server file system path. Right? Fine. And suppose if you want to see any errors, you'll get the server from the file. You'll get the file from the server, and you'll see the errors in production. What errors are coming out? Fine. This is fine because this application, all these modules like users, orders, products, everything is in one application, and it is generating the log in one server. Now assume that you are going to a microservices based style of architecture. So in microservices, you know how we split generally based on the functionalities, orders, users, products, payments, shipments. Based on the functionalities of these, we'll be splitting into different microservices. That means I assume that this entire thing is one Spring Boot project or Spring MVC. Now I split into multiple Spring Boot projects. That means this microservice will have only order related functionality, orders related modules or functionalities. And this is one Spring Boot project. Okay, I'll have one more Spring Boot project. I have one more Spring Boot project. Say this will be your products related functionality. Products related modules. And this is also a microservice. Okay, product related modules, and this is also microservice. So similarly, I'll have payments related modules. This is also one microservice. Okay. So when I say separate microservice means each is one Spring Boot project and running in separate servers. That means this is running in one server, or we can say containers, or we can say in Docker containers, or a Docker container. This is running in another Docker container. This is running in another Docker container. And as a whole, this entire thing is one e-commerce application. And this is what microservices architecture does. And as a whole, this entire thing is one e-commerce application. So each microservice is running in its own server or container. When I say Docker container, you can assume that it's a separate server. Assume that. I mean, logically, it is a separate server, right? Though they are running in single virtual machine or multiple virtual machines in one, there can be multiple Docker, but they're having a separate space. Virtually, they are having separate memory, separate IP address, and all that. Now, just like this single monolithic, this type of applications, we call it as monolithic applications. Monolithic. And these type of applications we call it as microservices. Fine. In monolithic applications, just like how you have used a logging library like Log4j, Logback to generate the logs, in this microservice also, because again, each microservice is one separate Spring Boot project. Only thing is the larger Spring Boot or Spring MVC project, now you are splitting into multiple Spring Boot projects and they are running in different servers or Docker containers. That is what you are doing. Now, each microservice is one separate Spring Boot project. And here also you will be implementing a logging library like Log4j, because every service you have to write the logs, right? Otherwise, you cannot trace the errors or any debug information, right? Without logging, you cannot predict what is the error that this service is undergoing. Okay. Here also you will have a logging library like Log4j or anything. Okay. Or here also you'll have this logging library. Now, if you take each is running in one separate server or Docker container, the log files will be generated here. The log files will be written here in this particular file system. Assume that this is one separate server. Here it will be writing in some file system, like in this file path, in the Linux file path. So in the container, we can say in the container path. Here also there will be some log files which will be written some directory. So, okay, some temp directory or something like that. And here also the log files will be writing in some file path /user, something like this. Okay. Now, if I want to go individually to each service, I have to access this container and get these log files. I have to access this container and access this log files. I have to access this. Now that means in monolithic application, for all these modules or all these packages, the logs will be only in one file, in one location, because all these are running in one server. Okay, and all these will be present at one location. And I can directly open that file and see that location. But in microservices thing, I have to access each and every container to see the individual log files, because each service is running in separate container. Okay, each service is running in separate container, and individually the log files are present in the separate containers, and I have to access. Suppose if there are 10 microservices, I have to access 10 log files getting from these 10 different containers. But in monolithic applications, for all these modules, it will be in only one log file at present at one location, because all are running in one server. Then I can access this. Right. Now, this is a difficult process. Accessing, say, in an application, you might be having 20 microservices, 100 microservices. Each microservice log will be written to their respective environment or container. So I have to access 100 log files for different microservices. Again, all these microservices are catering to one single application only, but they're running as individual, separate services. Okay, so how to handle this kind of thing? So for this, actually, we have a mechanism called centralized logging. We have a mechanism called centralized logging. So what do centralized logging will tell is, all the logs from different microservices or different services, okay, for an application will be present at one place, so that we can go to that place and view all the logs from all these services. So this is called centralized logging. So this is called centralized logging. And to implement this centralized logging, we have different tools like ELK, EFK. Okay. Next is Splunk. Okay, Datadog. So these are the different tools that we can use in your course. In your course, we have ELK and Datadog. Okay, I'll be explaining these two. How we can achieve the centralized logging. Now, let us take ELK. What ELK? What it does? Now everyone got an idea now. What is this centralized logging and what is it? Now we'll see how ELK will work. Now let us do like this. Say you have different microservices. So microservice 1, microservice 2, microservice 3. And say each microservice will be writing the log files to their respective file systems. Okay. So this is writing to some file system like service one, or we can say like this /log. This is a file system, service one. So here you will be writing some log file, some service one, or we can say service one dot log. Similarly, service 2 dot log. Service 3 dot log. Okay, each service is writing to one different log files. Instead of going to each individual log file, so we'll use a centralized logging mechanism. So what ELK, as I told you, ELK is in 3 components. There are 3 components in ELK. ELK. E means Elasticsearch. L means Logstash. K means Kibana. Elasticsearch, Logstash, Kibana. Now, what actually I'll tell you in a simple way. Now, we'll have a Logstash component. This is a separate library or software we have to install wherever these microservices are running. Suppose these microservices are running in a virtual machine or something, we have to set up this Logstash in the same environment. And you know what Logstash will do? Logstash will read the log files from all these locations. So Logstash, what it does and how it reads, I'll tell you practically. Logstash will read the log files from all these locations. Okay. And then it will send all this data. It will do some filtering. It will do some all this. Okay. It will send. So Logstash do some filtering of unwanted logs. It will remove some unwanted logs. Okay. Filtering of unwanted. If you don't want the debug logs or complete stack traces, unwanted logs, and send clean log, okay, to Elasticsearch. And Elasticsearch is also separate component you have to install or separate software. Elasticsearch. And what this Elasticsearch does? Elasticsearch is like a database actually. You can think like it is a database that stores all the log information. All the log information from different services, or all the log information sent by Logstash, okay, at one place. You can think like this. So Logstash will collect all the logs from different services. It filters the unwanted logs and send clean logs to Elasticsearch. Okay, Elasticsearch. Okay, some typo. Elasticsearch. Okay. Now This is a database actually. We cannot go to this database and see the logs. We will not understand also, because this will store all the logs in a JSON format. So all the logs will be stored in JSON format, and we cannot understand that JSON format. Okay. Say if you want to view the logs from all these services, we cannot go directly to Elasticsearch and view this JSON. It will be difficult to understand. So it is better if we can have a user interface like a dashboard and see all the logs. So for that, we'll have a Kibana. We'll have a Kibana that can pull the logs from the Elasticsearch. That can pull the logs from the Elasticsearch. And in Kibana, okay, the user or the developer, Kibana is an user interface or is a dashboard or user interface where developer can access the logs. Can view the logs. Okay, he can view in a user-friendly way. It will give a neat picture. Which service, which microservice one, which log, which microservice two, which log, in a user interface or dashboard. So that is why if you take in this, three components are playing an important role in making this centralized logging. So what Logstash is doing, it pulls the logs from various services written in these logs, in these file systems. And then it will filter the unwanted logs and send clean logs to Elasticsearch. And what Elasticsearch does, it is a database that stores all the log information sent by Logstash at one place. And these are stored in a JSON format, and we cannot view these logs. We cannot understand also if we directly go to Elasticsearch and access this. But we should have a kind of a dashboard or a user interface to see all the logs, where a developer or a user will see a friendly way. I mean, it should be user friendly. So for that, we'll have a Kibana. From Kibana, we'll pull the logs from Kibana will pull the logs from Elasticsearch, and it will show in a neat dashboard or representation. So this is how the flow works. Elasticsearch, Logstash, Kibana. But though the word E came first, but it will start like this. The flow will come like this: Logstash to Elasticsearch, Elasticsearch to Kibana. And how Logstash will read the files from these locations and send to Elasticsearch, how it will filter the unwanted logs, how from Kibana the logs are pulled to Elasticsearch and show in a dashboard or in user interface application. That all we'll see practically. Any doubts or questions till now? Everyone understood the concept behind this? Everyone understood the concept behind this? Why do we go for centralized logging? Okay. What about others? I see few responses. What about others? Okay. See now to To set up this ELK, what you have to do is you have to go to Elasticsearch. So if you open this, see, this is your Elastic stack. If you see, you have Elasticsearch, Kibana. Okay, there are different things, Elasticsearch, Kibana. Integrations are there, like you'll have Logstash. Elastic Agent is there. Data connects web crawler is there. Logstash is there. Okay, API is there. So what Logstash will does, if you want to collect and transform your data, so Logstash will be done. And Elasticsearch is a database, and Kibana is a dashboard. You can download from these, or the best way is, I'll tell you, Elasticsearch 7.17 is the stable version. You can actually go to your Google, download. So if you open this, if you go to Windows, Windows or Linux, whichever operating system you're using, go to here. Okay, I already downloaded. I'll just copy this link. Okay, this is one thing. And then if I want to go for Logstash, go to here, go to your Windows, copy this link. This is for Elasticsearch. It will be a zip folder. And then you'll have a Logstash. This is your Logstash. Next, Kibana. Kibana. You go to Windows, and this is your Kibana. Okay, I'll just send to you all this in the chat. Copy paste this. 7.2.3, 7.17 is the stable version. 8 is the latest version. But with 8, you have to set up some security, all that you have to do that. Some security is there. You have to disable that security when you want to run in Windows. Okay, sometimes that Windows version is not supported. You have to again use Linux. But 7.17, you can use, you can unzip and directly use. But 8 is having a lot of security features. And you have to use a separate machine. In your Windows, actually, it becomes a bit slow. Yeah, and better Elasticsearch, Kibana, and Logstash should have the same version. Suppose if you're going with the 8 version, better Elasticsearch should also have 8 version, Logstash 8 and Kibana 8. If you're going with 7 version, it should be 777. Choose one version and have all the 3 should be in one version. Okay. Just download those. And after downloading and unzip, I already have that. I got like this. Those are zip files. After I unzip, actually, I got in separate 3 folders. You see, Kibana, Elasticsearch, and Logstash. Okay. Now, let me generate one simple mic. I'll take only one service and I'll generate a log file from this. So what I'll do is, I'll just go to my Eclipse. Yeah, already have a logging project. I'm using a logger. Okay. Here I'm using a simple log4j, right? I'm using this logger. And here I'm writing to some log. What I'll do is I'll use this one. And I'll write to a log. My app.log. I'm writing to this file. Let me run this project. A simple log. In this, what I'm doing is, see here, I'm logging some information. And I'm just generating some exception, just to generate a log. I'm catching that exception and returning this value just to see the log. Okay. Let me run this application. Okay, let me take this. Because I compiled this with older version. Let me run this project. Okay. Now you see, my application got started and I can access this. When I access this URL, this logger will get generated, right? So what I'll do, I'll just say localhost. Localhost 8080/products. Okay. I got product 1, product 2, product 3. But the log also might have generated. Okay. This is the response I got. But the log also might have generated in this location, right? This is a file system. Go to your C DevSecOps, somewhere logs also might have generated. My app dot okay, my app dot log, right? In this folder, my app dot log. Yeah, the log got generated just now. You see 8:28 a.m. now. So just open this. Okay, this is the log file, right? You see, this is the log file that got generated. I think some error also came, you see. Like initially I got some version error that also has been written. Again, I changed that version. Now you got the application logs. You see, started app. Now you see in get products. See, in get products. So this has come. And I'm just using some new line character. Okay, why I'm using new line characters, I'll tell you. Okay, because when you do centralized logging, how new line characters also will come, I'll tell you. So in the new line, this is coming as like this. In the next line, it is printing. Next, exception has occurred. Exception has occurred. And then you got an exception here. You are printing that exception. And then stack trace. That's all. This entire thing is stack trace that you are printing here. So in the log file, you generated this. Now, what we will do is, now we will use this log file. Okay, we'll take this log file and we'll write a logstash configuration to read this log file and send to Elasticsearch and view this log file information from the Kibana. Whatever we are viewing, whatever we are observing this from a notepad, from this log file, now we'll integrate this with ELK, where Logstash will read that log file from the particular location. Here, which location it is? In DevSecOps folder, myapp.log. And this we will send to Elasticsearch. And from Kibana, we'll view the logs, we'll read the logs. So that is what we are going to see tomorrow. Understood, everyone? Clear? All right, then tomorrow we'll meet. Saturday, don't miss. So tomorrow there is a class, don't miss. Because we have one Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Because last Saturday we missed the class. Okay. So let us see tomorrow. All right then. No doubts, everyone clear with the concepts now? So tomorrow we are going to see the practical of this log file. All right then. Thank you all. See you tomorrow. Yeah, I'll upload the notes. Yes, yes.
बोला नाही ते हॅलो हा बोला काय करायला हा हा काय ते लेक्चरला का हो? दुपारी राहतो का हो? बोला की हा आणलो नवीन आणलो का तसलं येतो का इकडे